Hello everyone, thanks for coming. We're here in the fabulous building of Cathays Library, which I believe has only recently been brought well up to spec. It's a great little hub here for the local community, and it's excellent that we've been invited here to do some readings. I want to thank Olivia and Ashley for their work, and before we go anywhere else, I want everyone to know the toilets are over there and we are not due any fire alarms. So I'd like to ask Olivia, would you care to say something about the library, please?
I'm the librarian here at Cathays Library. Here we are a combination of two things. So we house a public library and we also house the local history collection. So it's our aim to, keep the fascinating history of Cardiff alive and make it accessible for all. So that's just what we strive to do, and I'm sure those in the writer's circle as well. We both share that if we get to inspire people on the way, it's a bonus. So, yes, really looking forward to today, and it's our pleasure to host it. I hope you're all comfortable with photography. We'll be taking pictures of the event. If you're not, just let myself or Ashley know. And Paul did forget to mention we do have teas and coffees, so do help yourself. Okay, thank you.
Tea and coffee and biscuits,
Yes.
and water. So for anyone who isn't familiar, I'll just quickly run through what most people are probably getting pretty sick of hearing. On May the 4th, last year, 22, Cardiff Writers' Circle was 75 years old, and I've got my back to some people. But that, yes, 75 years old, and to give you an idea, that's 25 years younger than the BBC, 1 year older than the Land Rover, and the same age as the modern states of India and Pakistan. In 1947, you had 3 major books published: All My Sons by Arthur Miller, Streetcar Named Desire, Tennessee Williams, and anybody know the thing? I've said it enough times. Yes! Thank you, Joyce. You weren't asleep by then. Okay. Right. Yes, Diary of a Girl by Anne Frank. So, last year saw the publication of another major epic, Cardiff 75. And we thank our sponsors for this. We thank Martin for all the hard work he did getting the sponsorship. And we also thank Parthian Books, who helped us with the publication. And we're now here to do some readings. So, I have a panel of readers, and we can also have some Q&A, but I haven't actually told them who's going first. There's a list, but it's going to be more of a surprise for everyone. So, what I should like to do is ask Martin, if you wouldn't mind, just saying a few quick words about the project and then reading one of your excellent pieces.
Yes, I'll do that. Would you like me to start
Please.
now? Well, thank you. Yes, and as Paul said, the Cardiff Writers' Circle, a little bit of information about us there, contact details and so on, celebrated our 75th anniversary last May, but we thought we wanted to make it bigger than ourselves and involve other local writers and writing groups, and celebrate sort of 75 years of creative writing in Cardiff much more generally. So we organised a whole series of events. We had a writers' gathering in which a magical 75 writers and speakers and publishers were represented, which was a great start. We've held a whole series of sort of short, snappy writers' training workshops throughout the year, which have been really popular. We've had open mic nights. We've had a writers' walking tour around the city, where we worked in partnership with another writers group called A48, and a group called Living Lines, and an actors group called A48, who, as we walked around the city centre, interpreted writing submitted by ourselves and other groups, which is a great success. And it's all culminated in this book published in April. It has, again, magically 75 pieces of work in this, written by over 30 writers from 6 different writing groups in the area. It's a great book, I have to say. I'm in it, so it's and Sarah's in it, so it's got to be good. It's really short stories, pieces of flash fiction, poetry, monologues, and so on. Very well, worth getting and reading, and very enjoyable. And we had our launch in Waterston's in Cardiff, in the Haze, which was very successfully, and we're on sale in most of the bookshops in Wales, which is great. So that's us, and if anyone is interested, there are books for sale here. So I'm going to read. Would you rather I sat or stood? You as sit, okay. This is a piece of flash fiction, or a short story, which I think won a human story competition in our group. And it's called Men for the Job. We witness a sharp crack of heads by the courthouse coffee shop as 2 strangers simultaneously bend forward to place their bags on the floor. Head spinning, John the barista and Mr. John the barrister remember their names, but not their respective professions. Each staggers away with the other's bag. Each is approached by a busy woman looking for a man called John. Mr. John is led to a changing area in the coffee shop, and John to the court robing room. This is going to be fun, thinks John, as he takes the horsehair wig and black robe from his bag and tries them on in front of the mirror. Mr. John pulls from his bag an apron with a vaguely familiar word, barista, printed on the bib. He puzzles at the gleaming coffee machine and thinks, it's strange I don't remember how it works. I wonder if they've got a kettle. After studying the long and confusing menu, Mr. John watches his new colleague make an Americano. That doesn't look too difficult, he thinks, before deciding to keep it simple by persuading each customer they only want Americanos. To John's left stands the defendant. The jury to his right, a bored-looking judge, faces him. John tries to recall what people are supposed to say in situations like this, but all that comes to mind are court scenes from Law and Order and Judge Rindan. In a flash of desperation, John turns to the defendant and booms, "Why don't you just plead guilty? We all know you are. We can see it in your face." I thought you were defending this man," interrupts the judge. John's heart misses a beat, but he recovers quickly. Just checking you are still awake, my lord. I must say you're looking a little sleepy. Would you like me to make you a nice coffee? Triple shot?" Mr. John gives his first customer a long stare, of the sort designed to cast doubt in the recipient. Madam, what was your state of mind when you requested a cappuccino? Let me direct your attention to this Americano. I put it to you that this is what you really wanted. No, madam, you cannot approach. You've exhausted the subject. Please move on. The day is long for our two heroes, even longer for those they encounter. As the sun sets over the courtyard, they meet again. What a terrible day, moans Mr. John. My customers were ungrateful, they call me a despot and refuse to drink my coffee. That's nothing, responds John. The judge shouted at me, the jury laughed, and the man I was defending wept. Each walks away thinking, phew, I'm glad I don't have his job. Now, where do I live? Thank you.
Thanks. We're going to hear from Sarah now, and then we'll have Lisa.
Thank you, Paul. So I thought I'd read, it's okay if I read 2 short poems. So I'm start off with My Red Lines, which was, I wrote it in the time of Theresa May just going endlessly on about her red lines with Brexit and how strong these red lines were. So this is my response to Theresa May. My red lines. My red lines are not immovable boundaries. They are pencils in a jar and baby pictures on my fridge. Plastic bricks under a kitchen chair, coming out the other side, ending abruptly at the wall. They're bands around the fold-over tops of my brother's grey school socks and the knotted stuff of his red jumper. They stay under the words my computer doesn't like, or I don't know how to spell, making me think again. They guide me when I'm not sure of the way. Trunk roads, footpaths, contours on a map. Central Line and the Underground. Hanover's red thread 3 miles long. I've seen them on earthworms, cinnabar moths, chough's legs and red panda tails. Rust tears falling from railings. The operation scar on my daughter's chest. They're what my cat did to me when I came too close. These are my history's relish. I have other flavours too. And then I've got one short one called very short one. This is my entry for the 75 competition. So it's just 75 words long, called Dates. He turned his back on kind and comfortable, chose the unsettling one, unpredictable, hoping she would rewild him. But years on, they have 3 meals a day and a diary open on the kitchen table to help them remember their places.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I would just point out that one of the very first things that Sarah started reading, and she read time and time again, was a very long novel that she'd written and performed enormous research into, and I really hope you restart on that, Sarah, because she's won prizes, she's done everything with short works, but we want that novel back. And now we'll go with Lisa, and then we'll have Sharif.
Am I okay just here?
Yes.
I'm a bit under the weather, so please excuse my delivery. I'm going to read a poem called Mermaid Key, and the reason that I chose this one to submit to the collection is because it's very much based around Cardiff, so that's why I wanted to read it today. I remember the days when we lived in Cathays and we slip away to Mermaid Key. We drink down the docks, JD on the rocks, singing songs of the plays we'd seen. We'd walk to Penarth, hung our socks by the hearth, hot toddies until the fleet passed. We'd explore the arcades that slink round like a maze, as we soaked up the sun, we laughed. Back at the bay, the basin was black, clouds threatened attack, and the currents were rough. Back at the bay, you asked me to say, stay, but I said this wasn't enough. Stricken with doubt, at the jetty I looked out, on my tongue the taste of the sea. Alone at last, my tears flowed free, my head a penitentiary, playing a fading memory, your kiss on my lip, your hand on my hip, your palm in my grip. Oh, how the whole world would glitter for me when we danced at Mermaid Key.
Thanks very much, Liza. Lovely. We'll go with Sharif and then Sarah. Are you okay after that?
My short story concerns a fictional character called Edmund. The good news is that Edmund should be out in a novel fairly soon, but it's like publishers' calendars aren't like any other calendar. They're just sort of infinitely extendable, and this one's been extended quite a lot. The extract I'm reading, though, isn't from the novel. It's a sort of sketch of what might come next. It is set in 1956, and that is a little bit relevant. It's relevant to the story because it involves the Suez crisis. There'll be one very brief reference to Suez in the section I'm reading, but not very much. But probably not very 1956-ish, but it's set in 1956 anyway. It's called Sand and Foam. Sometimes, at low tide, I find cockle pickers bent over in their waders, scrabbling in the wet sand. Sometimes, on sunny days, I see day trippers arrive. They hold picnics on the grassy banks, and their children build sandcastles and run along the shore, shrieking and laughing. But sometimes, like on this grey November afternoon, there's no one. I walk over the glistening grey-blue sand and admire the ornamentation stretching out before me, reflections of clouds, sky, and moments of sun. It's as if I could walk to the horizon and beyond. Blake found infinity in a grain of sand. I glimpse it in this mad meeting of sand, sea, and sky. I walk and walk, and I forget London and my wife and my work. I forget Eden and NASA. I forget Suez and Hungary. I forget everything. Just let it all dissolve in the swirling sea breezes and the shimmering grey. My head empties, my limbs freeze, my lungs fill, and something heals within me. But I can't float away into this grey infinity. Two chains bind me to the earth, the time of the tide and the hour of sunset. As the blue of the sea turns a dimmer blue-grey, I turn round, trudge back across the glistening sand, and I realise I'm no longer alone. There's a white dot on the quayside. Each step brings me closer, and new details emerge. A white square and a blue line, a canvas and a painter. What madman would paint this view today? A blue scarf flapping in the wind, an arm raised, then falling. A cap. My God, it's a woman. Not young, but it's hard to be sure. She's wrapped up like a trooper in an old khaki greatcoat. Okay, and then there, but obviously more.
Thank you very much, Sharif. And that was, of course, part of a short story. We're going to Sarah now. What do you have for us, Sarah?
Well, I have a poem because I got full poems in this. I'm going to read a different one to when I read a previous thing, which was Cardiff enacted. I just submitted this because I thought it was okay. It's called Sexual Surprises. In the time it takes your eyes to travel the length of a butterfly's wingspan, in the curve and base of candy white dahlias regrowing, decades deep in a whoosh of high-speed travel, to live in, long past a childish prediction of death, to a future which now says yes.
coming over now to Jen, who managed to put some time into writing for the collection, even though she's trying to get a novel pushed through her agent to hopefully be in the Sunday Times bestseller. That's what we hope anyway.
It's nearly ready. It's going on submission in September. Yes, this is part of a short story. No particular backstory to it. It's called Terrible Weather for June. June. Terrible weather for June, he said, shuffling his feet and glancing at the girl, then back at his feet. June who? She asked. June, the month June, he replied. Oh yes, of course. How silly of me. They stood in the drizzle for a moment, then she said, my mother's roses have been completely drenched. How awful, he replied, but he didn't know much about roses, so he said nothing else. The sky just drizzled down on them and the cars splashed past. The bus came and they both got on and went to work. July. Dreadful business about the rainforest, she said, hoping he'd heard about the rainforests. The rainforests? Oh yes, dreadful. Terrible state of affairs, he said, tucking his book about roses under his arm. Most disturbing. Would you like an extra strong mint? Thank you. They sucked their extra strong mints and a breeze blew across them. The bus came and they both got on and went to work. August. Are you going on holiday soon, he asked. Yes, I'm going to Blackpool in a week for a fortnight, she smiled. And you? I'm going to Skegness in a fortnight for a week. How nice. They both laughed. I hope the weather's good for you. Skegness could be so bracing. Yes, that's what the broocher said. They both laughed again. The sun shone down on them and the cars whizzed past. The bus came and they both got on and went to work. September. Did you have a nice holiday, she inquired. Very nice, thank you. Very relaxing. And you? Oh, lovely, thank you. Lovely weather. The weather makes all the difference, I always think. Oh, I think so too. All the difference. They both watched the clouds as the clouds floated past. Then the bus came on and they both got on and went to work. October. Awful shame the leaves have died, he remarked. Yes, awful shame. They do look so pretty while they fall though. True, they are pretty, and there'll be more next year. Yes, I like the spring. I like the autumn too though. Yes, I like the autumn, but I like the spring best. Oh, I agree. They watched the birds gather on the wires and were ready to leave. Then the bus came and they both got on and went to work.
Thank you very much, Jen. Ian, do you have time to read this little? You've got 25 minutes before the Rozzers catch you.
Okay. You hear this all before this unnecessary essay. Do you want to hear it again? Okay. I'll sit down by you, don't mind me. Okay, so...
If you stand up.
Yeah, sorry, I have to.
Matt needs to focus in on your magnificence.
Okay. So this is unnecessary. An unnecessary slab of torment and comfort, making me feel guilty for the time I spend with her.
Oh, right. Okay.
Should I be feeling this way, I ask. Yes, she says. She knows the answer to everything. Being smart, I suppose she would. Black and bruised, cracked and hacked. Indented in my life, hands and jeans. I feel lost without her, shackled, yet free to leave whenever I want. How did I ever manage without her, especially in my teens? The keeper of all my memories and witness to private chat. There used to be a silence between us, but now she can talk back. Just to me, I hope, although I hear spies can listen in. As long as it's not my mother, then I don't really care, I think. A friend and a foe, an enemy of my time and a tunnel of escape. The demon who trolls through my input and shows me lands far and warm. She knows it's wet and cold outside. She's seductive and clever and always on my side. She's a part of my body now, my hands, face and ears, a bit haggard and aged, a phone battling to keep its head high. The time has come and gone, been replaced and outsmarted. A new one I should buy. My relationship is one that if for one moment I think I have lost her forever, I panic and get sad. That's how much she means to me. Yet I loathe her for making me feel so needy and bad. I dropped her once and spread her already webbed cracked screen. On my laptop I searched for new models. I'm not so stupid as to use my phone. She would break her motherboard heart and would purposely wipe her memory of me and that of her own. She could live without me, but not me without her. We get along fine, and if I did not have one, I would be frowned upon by society. I would end up having just real friends and not know the time or day. I would book 0-rated hotels and train tickets too much for what I pay. I'd miss my birthday and that of others. I would not know how many times I am being liked. I would not know if I should be building a nuclear fallout shelter. Okay, yes, I admit it. I love my phone, and most importantly, I can use it to see if I have spinach on my teeth or a boogie on my nose.
I've got to go. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Ian.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Sorry about it.
Take care, Ian. What I'd like to do now, the only two, save the best to last, Jeff and myself. Is there
Hey, hang on, you should be the last.
how long was that your story?
Loads more.
I'm a bit fatter than me.
Well, Jeff,
You want to go next then?
would you please?
Thank you. Right, what number do those score?
Jeff, if I may point out, is another person who's adapted in the circle, originally just writing science fiction novels. Jeff was convinced to enter the poetry competition and now he can't stop. He writes poetry, short fictions, everything.
Okay. As you all know what this is called, when the daisies go to sleep. I will be there for you forever, whenever you need me, my darling girl. You are the loveliest little person. I feel so privileged that to be your granddad, and honoured that you hug me so tightly as you slip into slumber's embrace at that time of the evening when the daisies go to sleep. You run like the wind through the meadow of my garden, so happy, so free, laughing all the while. Such a joy to be with you, my darling girl. My heart is yours, you melted with your smile. Time when your busy day is over, tiredness and weariness have come, exactly at the time of the evening when the daisies go to sleep.
Thank you, Jeff. And I just want to say, as Martin said earlier, 75 pieces in this, and every one of them is brilliant, apart from the ones I wrote. Now, I've read one of the pieces and a few, but I think I'll read a different one this time. This was my entry for the 75-word flash fiction competition, and the adjudicator did suggest petrol and matches, but there we are. This is called Guilty. Where are the bodies? I didn't kill them. So where are your wife and children? A shrug. Explain the hospital visits, your searches about hiding money and body disposal, your secret lover. Whispered, I've done nothing. They're dead, aren't they? Hidden from view, she watches as he's taken away. It had been difficult using his laptop, diverting money, inventing the girlfriend, but it worked. They were free. No more screaming, no more violence, just freedom. You're all very polite. what we could do, if you like, is have a Q&A if anybody does have questions. So we'll try our best to provide answers. Does anybody?
When's the next compilation of the
Oh, yeah. Oh, you missed the entry for it.
Did I miss it? Sorry.
Well, that will depend on finances, because as Martin will assure and Sarah, there's a lot of money required to produce one of these and a lot of work doing the editing. Sarah having done the vast majority of it.
We were a team.
We're a team. Everybody else was busy and you did it. No. So, on that basis, we can have some more readings. If anybody would care to do another.
Well,
They're all rushing.
I don't mind starting the ball rolling.
Thank you,
My other piece of flash fiction. You may have, well, I know most of you have heard this before, but just to start the ball rolling, it's a very short story called I Am, and it's inspired by an article I read in The Guardian about 3 years ago about a poor woman in France who was, I'm going to say mistakenly, but maliciously declared dead, and has struggled to get her declared undead or alive. But so this is inspired by that. I am. I'm sorry, sir. I can't. What? Why not? There's money there. Yes, there's money, all right. Quite a lot, in fact. But the account's frozen. Steve Smith is dead. What do you mean he's dead? I'm sitting here talking to you. I see you, sir, and we are having a conversation. But you are not the Steve Smith of 19 The Circus. You can't be. The system says he died 2 months ago. His estate is in probate, and his account frozen. Could you possibly be another Steve Smith? It's not exactly an unusual name. This is rubbish. Look at my driver's license. I am the Steve Smith, and I live at that address. You've known me for 20 years. We used to play squash together. There's got to be a mistake. No, sir. The system never makes mistakes. Look, this is a copy of the grant of probate and a letter from the executors. If you were the Steve Smith, I would be talking to a dead man. And you, sir, are clearly alive. Just a minute. There's no death certificate in your file. You can't decide Steve Smith is dead without that. Yes, that is rather strange, sir. But the absence of a death certificate does not in itself prove that a person has not died. I'm sure Alfred the Great didn't have a death certificate. What? What's Alfred the Great got to do with it? He's dead, sir. No doubt about it. This is a nightmare. Last week, my employer stopped my salary, despite me sitting in the office at the time. The week before, I had to prevent someone from fixing for sale signs outside my house. And now, I can't even withdraw money from my own bank account. How can I prove to you that I am Steve Smith, owner of that bank account and all the money you're holding on to? I think you'll have to prove to the system that you didn't die. Okay, what's the procedure for doing that? There isn't one. Wait, let me guess. Because the system never makes mistakes. That's correct, sir. Right. That does it. Stick 'em up. Be careful with that gun, sir. You'll never get away with it. You're on CCTV. Your fingerprints everywhere. And I make a very good witness. Ah, that's where you're wrong. I can do anything I like. The police can't arrest a dead man, and he can't be prosecuted. Now, open the safe.
Sarah.
Thank you. Well, I've got an extract from the big book that Paul was talking about. It's called A Village Legend. It's just a short story within the book. Barley harvested, Songlong declared to the other village leaders, "We should celebrate a festival. I'll supply the goat." Lee hadn't lived here long. He hadn't grown up with these men and women, didn't know the community's funny stories and whispered tragedies. It made a difference, he thought, kept him apart. Tonight he would try to fit in. In the lantern's flaming light, acrobats tumbled, clowns skipped, laughing and teasing. His friends danced to the drumbeat, clapped hands and sang. There were nuts, berries, fish, sweet dumplings, and infusions of herbs. Smells of cooking filled the smoky air. Lee noticed a scuffle amongst the musicians. One of them, Chun-Li, was holding the clay sheen Lee had made. It had been challenging making the flat-bottomed bottle with finger holes, tapered neck, and lower lip rest. "Lee," called Chun-Li, "the sheen you've made is broken." The music stopped. The players, moaning and grumpy, gathered around Lee. "What's wrong? Is it cracked?" asked Lee. "Don't know. Listen." Chun-Li blew. The only sound was his rasping breath. "See, it doesn't work." Lee took the object gingerly. The light was too poor to check for hairline cracks. He tried blowing. He couldn't make it sing, but he became aware of water dribbling through his fingers. "Hey!" he exclaimed. Chun-Li seized the shin and poured the remaining water over Lee's head, laughing hysterically. Lee shrieked at the sting of cold water and then grinned. He was contributing to the village legends. He really did belong now.
And when Sarah's book does come out, it's all about a potter in China.
Yeah, 200 BC roughly.
Yes, at the time of the making of the terracotta warriors. Yes, in fact, he's one of the
He's
heroes.
one of them. He's a potter.
Yes. It's called Potter, so look out for when that comes out. Do we have any more volunteers? Lysa's escaped.
Can we have more Sharif story? There's more
That
there.
would be nice.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Yes. Come on.
Actually, it gets more difficult because now there's dialogue and I have to do two voices. Okay, so he finds this female artist who's painting on the quayside. "Afternoon," she calls out. "A study in grey. Has to be, doesn't it?" She grins, white teeth flashing above her sky blue scarf. For a moment I'm stunned. I'm frozen by the wind and I can't think what to say. She looks at her painting, dabs at it with her brush, hums a little. "Getting colder," she glances at me. I have to speak. You've chosen an odd view. It's all grey. I feel a stab of guilt. How can I betray my glimpse of infinity with these trite words? But I must keep it to myself. I can't tell her. She mustn't know. I like a challenge. "You're from London?" I ask. "Of course. Had to get away." I edge round to see her canvas and feel relieved it's just a seaside view, perhaps greyer than normal. She's exaggerated the sunlight, decorated the sand with specks of gold. She asks. I nod. She stands back, head to one side, assessing her own work. "Had to get away," she repeats. "Couldn't face one more newspaper headline or wireless broadcast. Suez," she rolls her eyes. "Sometimes people are so stupid, aren't they? Nobody does anything. Nobody knows what to do. I nod once more. What certainty. It's refreshing. Still, she sighs. Politics, eh? I said I wanted to get away from it. Everyone's affected, I suppose. Somehow it sounds like I'm apologising. It's everywhere. Ha! She wipes her brush on a multicoloured cloth, stares at her canvas. It's not finished, she says. I'll come back tomorrow. She packs up her paints and easel and slips them into one of those tartan shopping trolleys that housewives use for their weekly shop. The canvas perches on top. Georgina, she says, stretching out her hand, or Georgie, if you prefer. Edmund. We shake hands. I'm here for the creative writing course. In town. She gestures along the bay. You're a student? I ask. No, I'm the tutor. Really? Do you write? Not really, no. Still, come along if you like. Every evening this week. Listen to others. Beginners welcome. She smiles and steps towards me. She seems very close. It starts tonight, 7 o'clock, in the church hall. No, thank you, I won't. I've got to. My voice dies away. There's nothing I've got to do. Suit yourself. She walks towards the town, pulling her trolley behind her. It rattles along the uneven quayside. She stops, looks back at me. I'm staying over there. I point the other way, up the hill to my little cottage. Right. Okay, that's natural stop.
That's true. And I thought you did the voices really well. I'm asking around to see if anybody else does want to do another reading, Chair. Sarah.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay. Well, this one's just been suggested to me. So this is one that I read last time. So, okay. It's called A Witness. A goldfinch flits from the seeker's view. A split-second colour flash and a fragment of loaded conversation, the cracks unsaid. A slur and sway of swiggers stumble on the path pounded by runners with intent etched on their faces. Yew tree folds dressed in emerald plumage as the stoic riverbank hosts bright songbirds springing, billowing plastic bags lost. Mallards glide free from becoming takeaway meals. Herons hide in the camera obscura, poet's eyes merging with the meandering ocean, whose lungs are clear once more, the mills and muck wash from your flowing mind. Bound from the mouth of the Milish, she sweeps past walking leaves, near death's flowing. River tap.
Thank you, Sarah. I would say Sarah could have read any two of the ones she put in. They're all wonderful. And the bad news is, as there are no other volunteers, I'm going to finish with another reading. This is not as much fun. This is 4 haiku. I ganged together Seasons of Love and Haiku. And I mixed up 353 and 575 for those who know the differences in haiku. Right. Where are you? Deep within your heart. Where am I? As you join with me, carve footprints in my being, my life finds meaning. Your warmth now, so deep and knowing, I am yours. As hearts awaken, your eyes light my existence, your season takes me. And that's a Japanese idea of fun. So, that's everything now, and I just want to say thank you again to Olivia and Ashley, and we'd like to give you a couple of copies of the book, FOC. Well, you can take your picture, but quite a few up. And thank you very much for allowing us to come into this wonderful building and take your time. And that's it, everyone. But there might still be a few biscuits there if anybody fancies. So, thanks very much, everybody. And once again, thank you all for coming. Thanks.
Thank you.